Meredith she is new to her business, but she's always had a passion for organization. She is my friend, she's also my neighbor, but what I'm super proud about is that she took a major risk this year. She left her job because she had a passion. And she's like, you know what, this is risky, but I have a passion and I'm gonna work hard and I'm gonna fulfill it. So she created what she calls the organized space. Follow her on Instagram, her pictures are beautiful. But she's gonna talk to us today, and she said, one thing when I was talking to her before we started, she said it was really cool to really kind of piece together how wellness and organization go hand in hand. So she's gonna talk to us today about tips to help us organize our business, but also helping just organize paperwork, calendars, schedules, times, workspaces, and how that in turn creates healthier coaches, healthier moms, healthier dads, healthier spouses, and just healthier people and happier people. So, Meredith, I am super excited to welcome you to the stage. So, professional organizer and the owner of the Organized Space. Please welcome Meredith.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me here. I'm honored, and I have to tell you, I'm super excited, even just watching that video. I'm not a coach, but that got me excited, and I can tell you I've been to Riviera Maya, that resort. You guys should definitely shoot for that, because I'm sure it'll be a trip of a lifetime. So Amanda, so this is just kind of my homepage, and as Jessica mentioned, my name is Meredith, and I am the founder of the Organized Space. If you want to go to the next slide, Amanda, we're going to kind of work down our groove here. So I am a mom of a couple kiddos. I'm married to Josh, my husband. He's an elementary school teacher and just the most supportive partner I could ask for. So every day I'm so grateful for him and just the support I receive from him, the encouragement, and he really did get behind me 100% to go after this, which was just a game changer, right? Having that support. So I have Noah there. Oh, go back one more. I'm going to talk about my kids for just a second. So Noah is a middle schooler, which is difficult to say because I can't wrap my mind around having a middle schooler, also a teenager. So he's super smart, creative. He's this amazing artist. He recently competed in the Junior Olympics for cross country, so he made nationals. That was super exciting. Let me tell you, it was in Madison, Wisconsin. It was in December, and it was outside, and they did wear tiny little outfits, and I was freezing watching them, but also just seeing him. But he did great, so that was super fun. And then my little girl Claire there, she just turned 6 yesterday. That was a big moment for me as a mom, and again, she's super kind, supportive, and creative. So on the next slide, you'll see my dog Lyra. This is not the most flattering picture of her, but this was her at the vet, just scared, saying, "Mom, what are we doing?" She's a little rescue, and she's really added so much to our life. I had to include another picture of her because it's better. She's just sweet, but don't tell my kids that I put a group picture of them and 2 pictures of the dog. They might be offended. So my background, if we want to go to the next slide, it's just a little bit about the Organized Space. So we specialize in home, business, and life organization. So with home, we're talking about your kitchens, how it's functioning, closets, playrooms, just everything related to the home. With business, it's talking about workspaces. It's also talking about photographs, paper management, just all of that side of the home. And then with life, I work with people on calendars. I work with them on meal plannings. A lot of what you guys are doing as coaches, but mine is much more general, not as focused with a particular program. And then a big part of that is moving. So I work with people when they're going to be moving, and just either preparing for them for that move or helping them sort through their items. I, from my late teens through early 30s, moved about 15 times. Not all crazy moves, but I moved a lot and I got it down, and I also took the opportunity to think, what do I want to take with me to my space? What do I want in my space? What do I want to pay to move? And I found that other people enjoy taking the time when they're moving to do that as well. So my background is in nonprofits and private foundations. I was the director of a nonprofit that served Omaha and Lincoln. I just loved it. I was super passionate about it. But I also realized I was passionate about connecting with people, helping them, empowering them, and honestly just working one-on-one or one-on-two with them to improve their lives. And from a super young age, a passion of mine was organizing and having things in order. So I really wanted to take the opportunity to mesh those things, and when the stars aligned, I took a little bit of a risk and went for it. So I'm gonna go Amanda. So as Jessica mentioned, one of the exciting things when I started thinking about talking with you guys today was really all of the things that Beachbody and the organized space have in common. So at first it's not super obvious. You think, well, it's organizing versus Beachbody, everything that we learned about. But I learned that we have a lot of things in common. So me as a person, I'm super passionate about wellness, and I know you guys are too. I'm super passionate about connecting with others, and that's so much of being a coach, right? And you're connecting with others. I love helping people live the life they deserve. And I also have a huge focus on promoting a healthier lifestyle. So to me, the connection is there. So that just made me even more excited to be here. So one of the perks about being in this field is that people send me every article or meme or quote about organizing or clutter. I truly love it because I don't have to go searching. People just send it to me. So my friend recently sent me a New York Times article, and it was literally called The Unbearable Heaviness of Clutter. And I was like, yes, this is what I've been saying. I have to read more. So literally the overarching theme is that clutter is stressful. Clutter can cause anxiety. Here, go to the next slide. And that a cluttered home can be a stressful home. That's literally the whole theme of it. And that goes to spaces, that goes to workspaces, everything. And this is something I've known. It's something that I personally deal with. I'm not perfect, and so I've grown to just understand about myself when my space is not in order. It just kind of causes some anxiety, and I used to be really hard on myself about that, but I realized I'm not alone in that. And the overarching themes of this article is that clutter can be stressful. For women, it can impact their mental health, and it can impact it more than with men. I'll go to the next slide. So that means that it impacts me potentially more than my husband. It might impact you more than your partner. And just realizing that was just a game changer. So when I realized that, I was like, okay, this is fine. My husband doesn't see it as a big deal. It's okay that I do. What can I put in place so that it alleviates some of that day to day? One thing I liked about this article, or one thing that it highlighted, was that clutter can increase levels of cortisol. So that's a stress hormone. It's another place where I see connection, is that that's a stress hormone. Are people familiar with that hormone? So it can lead to weight gain, it can lead to feelings of irritability, it can lead to skin problems, it can slow the healing process. And so that's another connection, because we also know that working out decreases those levels. So there's just a huge connection, that overall healthier lifestyle approach of saying, let's get those cortisol levels lowered so that all those ailments are not impacting us. So I'm certainly not saying that, oh, just clean up your space, organize your space, and those ailments will go away. But what I am saying is that when we have a space free of clutter, a more organized space, it might lead to feeling a little bit better. So on the next slide, you'll see one of my favorite quotes, because I apply this to many parts of my life. It's not just with organization, but I apply it to friendships, maybe that just are no longer serving me, food that's no longer serving me, stuff that's no longer serving me, mementos, gifts, whatever that might be. It might be difficult to let it go, but being free of it, whatever it is, thoughts of the past, old habits, can be super beautiful. Sometimes I might have a frozen thing going on in my head because of my 6-year-old, but that's another story. So it's a new year, and if you're like me, maybe you set some new goals. Has anybody set a resolution? Maybe related to your personal life, maybe related to being a coach. I certainly set some resolutions. I actually call them intentions. Because it's a time to just take the energy that we feel and go with it. I don't care if they're cliche. I don't care if people say, oh, they're gonna fail. What I care about is taking the momentum of a new year that we have in the media, that we have in the workplace, that we have here today, and going with it. Why wouldn't I want to take that free energy and that free kind of push to just go with it? So the big thing with me about a resolution or an intention is that it's so easy just to kind of fling them out and say, well, I want to do this and I want to do this. The biggest part is really making that commitment. And I know that that's true, obviously, with working out, with anything, but not just saying this is my resolution, it's saying I'm going to make a commitment. The next step or the third step is going to be maintaining it, right? Because that's where they fall off. I can tell you that some resolutions for people have already fallen off, and it's the 11th of January. But that's okay. So we just hop back on. We check in, we celebrate the small things, and we move forward with it. So with organization, it's definitely about maintaining, and with any resolution, it is as well. So today we're briefly going to talk about workspace organization, office organization, paper management, and then some calendar management as well. So working from home, I guess I'm making the assumption here that everybody is working from home. Does anybody have a dedicated home office space? Does anybody have like an offsite, or is everybody pretty much at home? Offsite. Who here just kind of bounces around, maybe doesn't have a dedicated workspace? So I'm going to be speaking to both. I just kind of wanted to gauge where people are at. I will tell you that my underlying belief is that everybody should have a dedicated workspace, so that's just going to put that out there. So we're going to go to the next slide. So, it says that right there. Have a dedicated workspace. The reason I believe that is because that will increase your productivity. It keeps you focused. You have everything you need. You're just in the space to get things done. So having a dedicated workspace to me is a game changer. So the second bullet point, it says be very thoughtful about what you leave on your desk. So this is our general, I'm not talking stapler, I mean it's general stuff, but I'm also talking about maybe tasks that you have, things that have been done, clearing those things off. If a task has been completed, it's super important just in a general mind frame and also organizational standpoint, just to take it to that next step. Having what you need. So this seems so obvious, but kind of thinking outside the box, for me, I need my chapstick. Like mine, I need it. Otherwise I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna go find the one that I want, and then I'm gonna realize that I didn't like put something away, and then I'm gonna throw in the little laundry. So having what I need on my workspace is, it's super important. So thinking of what that may be, water, maybe it's your Shakeology, maybe it's your full list, having what you need in your workspace. Keeping only things that make you happy. Again, I mean, I sound like a little OCD here, but forever I had a stapler that I didn't like, did not make me happy. Now I have one that makes me super happy. Okay, and then another thing with workspace is end of day organization. So taking a minute at the end of the day, whatever that end of day is for you. So maybe you work for an hour in the morning, and that's really your bulk of time, because then you're off to get the kids going, or off to your 9-to-5 job. Whatever that end of day looks like for you, just kind of getting things in place so you're not just leaving it kind of a mess for the next day, because again, that productivity is going to spike. So if we want to go to the next slide. So some people have to get creative. We might not have a super dedicated workspace, but if you think of a space that it might be a desk or table that is easily movable, maybe it's on wheels, maybe it does double duty. So the picture on the left is actually my old workspace. It's a secretary desk that was my great-grandparents. And for a super long time, it was in my basement. I didn't even do anything with it, and then I put it in my dining room, okay? Was that a super ideal spot for me? No, but I put it in my dining room, got it organized, and it was my workspace that let me, kind of contain everything, be present, have a dedicated spot, think of my great-grandparents, all of those things. So kind of thinking outside the box with that. The one in the middle is a foldable desk. So maybe you want to create a workspace, and so that's a foldable desk. It's less than $100. You could literally fold it up and put it away if you're not wanting to make a permanent space in your home. The mounted desk, I love this approach because you can make it super narrow. But the overall theme with this is think of your space 90% of the time, how you're using it. Is it sitting empty? Is there a corner that's open? Because having that dedicated workspace can really improve your business and your overall productivity. So think, how can I make this work for me? How do I make it work for me during the bulk of time, not just for for that 10% where maybe the living room's gonna be full because you're hosting family or you're having a meeting or whatever that might be. So kind of getting creative with that. So if you don't have a custom or personalized dedicated workspace, you might have to just use your dining room table, because I've been there too at times in my life. I love an office caddy. So the one up there, that little pink one, I think it's $13. This one is probably not, you might not need Elmer's glue, I don't know what you need. But it's just about creating what you do need and having a home for it. So you can put that caddy somewhere, but then you can easily grab it, put it on your dining room table, pack it up at the end of the day, and clear it off so that when your family's coming home, you're getting dinner ready, or you have friends coming over, you're just able to kind of pack up your life. I like the one back. Oh, I just included that little wooden box one because I think it's super cute and I want to go buy it because it reminds me of like my caboodles. But anybody caboodles? And then thinking about vertical storage. So that is from IKEA, that one on the right, that file organizer. I have these, I love them. They're super easy to kind of get your files in order. They're really slim, they don't take up a lot of space. You can hang them on the wall, or you could also put them in a drawer as long as you have the depth and kind of organize that way. But it just is a way you can label things and kind of keep things cluttered. So getting creative in what a workspace can look like is key. So if we go to the next one, back to this. So if you do have an existing office space, or really any space, but we're focusing on office and workspace at this point, if you want to get it organized, the very first step is you have to clear it off and clear it out completely. Seems like a task, so make sure you have enough time. But getting every single thing off of your desk, out of the office, whatever that might look like, and sorting it. So you want to sort it by category. And what this really highlights sometimes is you might have more than you realized, so more stuff than you realized, more files, more pens. You might have, double, duplicates, but it just gives you a point to say, really, what do I want to bring back into my space? What's serving me? What do I want? What's making me happy? I don't need this, this is broken. It's just kind of a reset button. And then also with paper, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but you can shred what needs to be shredded and kind of clear that out. This is probably my favorite, another favorite quote. I have lots of quotes, but don't organize what you can discard. So it's not just about saying this is everything that I have, how can I make this work? It's saying, do I really need this to begin with? That's really the first step. So paper, I'm super overwhelmed by paper. If anybody has kids, I'm sure you are too, because so much comes home. But it's really important to take a few steps so you can look at paper. So much paper, that's the only title I could think of for this slide. So when you're looking at paper, and I think especially when you're owning your own business, you end up with a lot of paper regardless, and just mail. But really thinking about what you need to keep. So I've been to workshops in the past, and I get all of these super great handouts. They're interactive, I'm so engaged when I leave, but then I bring those things home and they really truly end up sitting there, and I don't need, they kind of serve their purpose. So thinking about what you need to keep, or maybe it's a brochure. Have you already gone to that website? So do you need to keep the brochure? Because it's already filed away, you've already gone through those steps. Do you need to keep the paper? And then on that regard, how are you going to typically access that information? So maybe it is something, you're getting all of this new information with Beachbody. If you get a piece of paper, are you going to use that brochure, or will you always access that information digitally? Because we're kind of living in that world. So not being afraid to say, you know what, I don't need to keep this because I know that I can access this digitally, then that's a great step. And same thing with work-related, keeping a simple filing system. Don't overcomplicate it. It takes, on average, people that have filing systems, it can take them up to 10 minutes to find a piece of paper. If it's overcomplicated, it's like, oh, is it in this file? Or is it in this one? Or is it, it's a lot. I would say the same thing with digital files, which we're not really talking about, but keeping that simple as well. So if you have digital files with your business, keeping it simple but keeping it organized will kind of alleviate some of the time you're taking to find that information that you need. So this is my own personal little, really simple. It's in our mudroom. This is my little filing system. It's certainly not the end result. But this is when, this is kind of my catch-all for a week. So when stuff comes in with mail, the best thing to do is address it immediately. I can tell you that I honestly never get the mail and set it down. Like I promise you. I will never do that. simply sort through it. It takes me less than 5 minutes. I recycle what needs to be shredded. One of my bins up there is a shred, so I don't shred it immediately, but I put it up there to be shredded. If it's kid related, I put it there. If it needs to be filed. Now, owning your own business, my thing up there, it also says taxes, so if it's something tax related, I have it up there. And then what I do is once a week, I address that system. So that's personally what works for me. It's not for everybody, but identifying 4 categories or so, keeping it super simple for all of the paper that comes into your house, just a quick way to put it in there. It helps you take that little bit of a baby step instead of saying, oh gosh, now I have to go down to the filing or I have to go do this. That's just kind of what works for me, but I would recommend keeping it simple and addressing mail and any paper that comes in right away. Any questions on this so far? Okay, if we want to go to the next one. So this is talking about calendar management. As you know, I am a mom, and so I'm also going to admit up here that there's times that I just feel overwhelmed, right, with the schedule. Because I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I own my own business, I have to get my dog to the vet, I have to do this and I have to do that. And so calendar management can really just play in your favor to organize that space so that it's reducing those levels of stress. So the number 1 tip, and I'm sure this is not anything new to you guys because I know with Beachbody and being a coach, you're seeing this, but having a routine. So raise your hand if you guys have a morning routine. Does anybody have a morning routine? I love it. That's perfect. I kind of expected that result. So I have a morning routine, and I created this particular one a couple years ago, and it was truly life-changing. Just having a routine in place, knowing what to expect. I know what to expect, my kids know what to expect, but it also ensures that I get things done. So it means that I get my workout in. It means that I have a good start with my water intake because that's part of my morning routine. Part of my morning routine, I call it eat the frog. I don't know if anybody has heard of this phrase before. I was at a workshop a few years ago and we got a book and it's called Eat the Frog. So I read about it. So it goes back to Mark Twain and basically saying if there's a task you need to do, just do it. So for me, I don't always eat the frog as part of my morning routine. So this might seem like I'm kind of questioning myself here. But what I do is I name the frog. So I name the frog so that I know that's what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to focus on this thing and I'm going to focus on this because otherwise I'm going to check my email and scroll through social media and check and do this and kind of pay bills. So I name that frog. And it's going to be different every single day, but part of my morning routine is just recognizing that. So I schedule everything, and within my schedule, if it's going to be a project, for example, I'm trying to relate it, so I'm not super familiar with how the coaching kind of dynamic works. But if I have a project, let's say you're trying to put a team together and there's a challenge. What I like to do with that is I like to automate all of those reminders and deadlines within my calendar at the start. So I think in 4 weeks I want this, in 6 weeks I want this, in 2 weeks I have to do this in order to get this one done. So just kind of putting all those into my calendar, that's a super helpful part. And that can be both in your coaching business, but also your personal business. Maybe it's with an organization. Maybe you're gonna go home and tackle that. So just kind of whatever that project is, because then it pops up and you're staying on track. I love to create work blocks with a focus. So if I have an hour work block, I'm not just gonna say work. I'm gonna say during this hour, I'm emailing, I'm sending out these invitations, I'm putting in this order for a client. It's really with a focus because that's just ensuring that I'm really getting that stuff done. I schedule like items together. So if I'm going to be meeting with a potential new client, I'm gonna try to go back to back to back for that type of appointment if I can. Or if you're putting in an order for a client, invoicing, whatever that looks like, trying to just group those together at a time. It might seem counterintuitive at first, but when you just group them together, it means you can be more productive. You're kind of already in that mindset. And then I write it down. Like if I don't write it down, to me it doesn't exist in my mind. So I have to write it down. I'm still a paper and pen kind of planner girl. We do have a family kind of calendar so that we can all see what's going on and it's color coded and all of that stuff is great, but I have to write it down. So doing what works for you. I tried a bullet journal, was not my jam. So I'm not doing that anymore. But I realized that does not work for me, and I just have a great planner that breaks down day by day, so finding out what works for you is good. So another thing I love to do is put these, and I cannot remember where I first learned about this, but I've been doing it for a few years, and I put reminders in my phone. These are two that go off daily, but I can do it weekly, and so that's something, if you have automatic things that are happening every single day, or things that you want to be doing every single day, or doing every week or a month, just stick a reminder in your phone. You don't even have to think about it again. But I can tell you that every day when that goes off at 3 o'clock, like, hydrate. I need to drink more water, because that either says, yep, I've been doing a great job, or, oh my goodness, start. And I don't even have to think about it. It goes off 7 days a week at 3 o'clock. At 1:45, it goes off, I am grateful. I don't have a sound with this. It's not buzzing, it's not doing anything, but whenever I pick up my phone, it might be, at 2 o'clock. It just makes me stop and think, what am I grateful for? And, oh, my water bottle's empty. Take a break and go do it. I also do automatic reminders for posts, just to think of that, or calling up, one of mine is follow up. And I know what that means in my mind. So just setting those automatic reminders, it takes it out of me having to think about it in my mind, and it just is done. And I'm thinking, my last little thing. So this is the definition of organize. I love Merriam-Webster dictionary. So organize, so it's arranging into a structured order, making arrangements. But you'll notice that it says verb. So when we're talking about, those New Year's resolutions and commitments, and then maintaining, in order to be organized, it takes a level of maintaining. It takes a commitment. You have to keep going, and it's not going to be just an overnight thing, like, oh my goodness, all of a sudden I'm organized, or I put a label on it, now I'm organized. It's a verb, so it's a constant action. But I can tell you, as Jessica said, when you're organized in any area of your life, it just has a trickle-down effect. So for me, it helps me be more present with my kids. It helps me be a better partner to my husband, and it helps me be a better friend. So, and I think that it would help you be a better coach. So it's just saying, how can I be more organized? How can I maintain this? It's definitely a verb, it's an action. So I think the next one is just my question slide. So does anybody have any questions about anything I talked about, or organizing in general? Oh, hey there.
I have a favorite planner girl too.
Yeah.
Favorite planner.
You know what, my favorite planner, honestly, is just one from Target. I've kind of experimented. I mentioned that I tried the bullet journal. I tried one is escaping me, and it was like a $50 planner, and it was beautiful, but it didn't have my spiral that I need. So mine is just a $15 one from Target, which I love. It's super accessible. Feather something. Anyway, so yeah, I just run. But what I have learned about is that I love one that has a good, I need the month to month, but that I need the day by day. So for me, I need a day by day. The one that I have from Target, I don't know the name, but it has, my top 3 objectives for the day. It has it broken down by times. It has evening activities, so I can really just take a quick look and see what's going on. And the other thing, I don't know if I had a bullet point, but I know that I forgot to mention, is that I love, at the end of the day, just taking a quick peek at the next day to see what's going on. And on Fridays, I take a look at the next week to see, okay, what's that week looking like? What am I missing? Oh, my daughter has her checkup, or I have to bring this. So it just is kind of a good thing. Again, that's something I automate, of just having blocked off on my time, so I'm not thinking about it, but then it just keeps me on track. Do you have a favorite planner? Yeah, then I would just recommend, just go switch it. Go to Target, switch it up, so on your way out of town, go hit up Target and get a new one that you like, because if you don't like it, then I find it just doesn't, find something that works. Any other questions? Yeah? Oh, kids' toys. Everywhere, for sure. So one of my favorite tips with toys, and I'm not sure how old are your kids? 3 and 6, so it's a great age, and any age really is fine. But I rotate through kids' toys, so I pack up certain toys. So we have, half of them out, and then every other month I switch out toys. So that's one way to maintain a little bit, so you have fewer out. And I also see that then they play with them more, because it's like, oh my goodness, I haven't seen these toys in a month. I discard any toys that are broken. And I also do, when they go to sleep, I go through their toys, like, you don't play with this, you're not gonna miss it. I don't recommend this for everything, but kids, if you ask them, do you wanna keep this? They're really inclined to say yes. One thing I do phrase with my kids a lot is, are you ready for somebody else to have an opportunity to play with this? Look at this, you just got this. So I just keep a big, it's an ongoing, a constant thing, but rotating through them and then keeping like items together. And then I also, I know this was a big push, at least for my social media feed, was experiences over things. So we really have tried to just limit. It starts with limiting what comes in. I express that to the grandparents, really what Claire wants this year is, she really wants X, Y, Z. So, and it's an experience over a thing. But with kids' toys, just grouping like items, being okay with saying we're gonna get them out of our living room now, and they're gonna go here, kind of creating dedicated spaces. So instead of having them take over everywhere, where this is the toy spot, and teaching them how to clean up. So at 3 years old and at 6 years old, they absolutely can clean up and put things away. When my daughter was 3, our bins had pictures of what went on them. And so we said, okay, I know where to put the train set. I know that this is gonna go here, but just kind of actively engaging in it. I don't know if that helps at all, but rotating is probably my favorite. Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't touch on this, but I'd like your opinion.
Yeah.
My photos, there are photos that I used for my business, say from June, that are still on, I have an iPhone. How would you suggest managing the photos? Because if I go back to that photo for each one, it takes probably like 2 minutes to get it off the cloud. Is the phone the best way to organize those, or is there another system that might be a little bit more efficient? Because some of these are like monthly, like an October theme, or a fall theme, or a summer theme that I'd like to reuse next year.
Right.
What would be the best?
Absolutely. So for something like that, what I would recommend is creating files on your. Do you have a desk? Do you have a laptop?
I do.
Yeah. So I would create files if you know that monthly you're going to be using folder or files. I would recommend putting that into an October folder and just picking out 1 or 2 files. Do you use multiple file or photos, or is it?
For example, like if on my stories, I might have 8 story slides that I want to keep
Right.
for the next season.
So if you know, so this is where a little bit of that intention is going to come in. If you know that you're going to keep it for the next season, my personal recommendation would be to put that onto your computer in a file so that it's organized and ready to go, because then you can airdrop it to your phone, you can kind of get it, you can put it back up, but then it's organized and you're not filing through. And then with phone photos, I would recommend, I'm not super great at this, but monthly going through and trying to, really audit them and clear them out. So my personal, I like files still on my folder because of the cloud. Sometimes it feels like it's kind of cumbersome, but if I know I'm going to be using something, I have it broken down pretty specific in that regard in a folder where it's like images or for stories, and then you can have that broken down by month or maybe themes. But just if you know, it's one of those things, if you know you're going to use it again next year, then taking the minute or 2 to just drag it over and having it ready to go will save you time for the coming year. Anybody else? Well, I am, again, so grateful to be here. Thank you so much. I am really encouraged by the video that I got to watch, because I'm kind of an outsider, so it was really neat to see that. And best of luck to everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Meredith. If you need